Hello, dear viewers. Good mood to you, and enjoy listening. I want to share a story from my life that adds to my positive emotions, and I really want to tell it. It started with a scandal involving my son, though the occasion was not that significant. We inherited a small plot of land from my deceased wife. I wanted to keep the cottage as a memory of my wife, while my son dreamed of selling it and investing the money in a business. The argument turned into a skirmish, and we fought. My son slammed the door and left the house. I didn't really know how he lived for the next 5 years. We seldom called each other, and our conversations were brief. "How are you?" "Fine." Who knows when we would have seen each other again if he hadn't met a nice girl. As a young girl, the whole world seemed warm and welcoming to her. So, when it came to getting engaged, she decided to bring our family together. One day, a gentle girlish voice on the home phone informed me that her owner's name was Anya and that we should definitely meet. In my almost 60 years, I had not received such an offer in a very long time, so I gladly accepted. That evening, I dressed up for the first time in a while, put on a tie, and changed my usual sneakers for shoes. In short, I dressed like the first guy in the village, the late 90s version. Anya, on the contrary, didn't think much about her choice of clothing. She came to the meeting in jeans and a shirt, but the charm of youth made her casual attire look like a luxurious outfit. We sat in a cafe, and then I walked the young girl home. Throughout the time, she was telling me about the value of family life and the need to make peace with my son. In principle, I was fine with it from the beginning. If I had known at the time that things would end this way, we would have sold the dacha after all, especially since my son showed entrepreneurial potential and quickly became quite well-to-do. And I didn't want to grow potatoes and cucumbers. Anya told me that Anton was not against reconciliation either, but his pride wouldn't let him take the first step, and he wouldn't accept my help. So, we hoped for chance. But as they say, the God of hope doesn't always lend a hand. Anya decided to confront us in the store. I was supposed to visit the supermarket near my son's workplace on Friday night and casually wander into the vegetable department. She was also supposed to bring Anton there, dressed less formally, she asked, waving her palm in farewell. The plan was successful. We absolutely accidentally met near the tangerines, thanks to a cute manipulator named Anya. In a few minutes, we were on our way to the nearest cafe, and from there, we moved on to Anton. By then, he already had a nice 2-bedroom apartment. So, it so happened that I also spent the night there. In the morning, I could barely open my eyes, my head was buzzing like a church bell, my eyes struggled to meet in the transferring area, and my arms and legs were shaking. My body felt like it was full of glass wool. A cool glass of water suddenly appeared in my limited vision, and after drinking it, life seemed a little more pleasant. I was even able to discern that it was Anya serving me, or more precisely, bringing me coffee brewed according to a special anti-drunk recipe. I hardly made it to the kitchen just to not seem like an old ruin in the eyes of young people. The drink turned out to be magical, and it wasn't long before I felt like a living person. Just then, I noticed that it was just the two of us in the kitchen. Anton was asleep. With a connoisseur's tone, I asked, "He went to work long ago?" Anya replied, "He told me to bring you to your senses and to wait for him. He has some grand plans about the cottage. He wants to fix up the house so he can live there in the summer." "It is Saturday. What kind of work can you do?" I asked. Anya explained that Anton always disappears there. He is afraid that without him, everything will fall apart, and she waits for him at home. "What is all weekend?" I wondered. "Sometimes, that is it. But usually, he is back by lunchtime." I never realized that the life of a modern entrepreneur is so hard. The way I see it, they rest all day and sip champagne in restaurants in the evening. Anya didn't understand what I was thinking and laughed. "Everyone thinks that, though." In fact, Anton disappears for days and nights at work. It is even surprising that he was able to get away so early yesterday. We had another cup of the brisk drink, and then I sat down to watch TV while Anya, like a hard-working bee, began to tinker with household chores. Finally, with a rag and a vacuum cleaner, she got to the living room. I unwittingly admired the girl. Her slim figure and long legs aroused my interest, and her russet braid and blue eyes suggested the idea of a beauty from folk tales. The impression was reinforced by the lack of makeup on her pretty, somewhat plain face. Anya seemed not to notice my interest, and she was all consumed by her own thoughts in some unimaginable distance. I began to think that Anya is my wife, that now she will finish cleaning, turn off the fragrant borscht, and we'll go for a walk on the spring boulevards. Anton didn't show up until after a hearty lunch. After my bachelor bites, the food seemed incredibly delicious. He had a lot of plans for his dacha. He decided to expand the house a little bit, create a parking lot, and build a pergola. We planned to go to the site the next day, so as not to waste time. I again spent the night there. All night, I dreamed about Anya in the most unexpected scenarios. In the morning, I woke up absolutely shattered, and I could barely pull myself together. It was wonderful in the dacha. How nice the sun was shining, and the birds were chirping merrily in the trees. Daffodils and tulips were sprouting out of the ground. Anya immediately found a rake and began to remove old leaves. Anton and I went to look around the house, but I was of little help as I was far from being a builder. I did not understand half of what my son said, and not dumbly, but the project of the future building impressed me. The dacha immediately became cozy and charming. It was planned to begin the work in May when there were lots of weekends. Young people would help me with the planting, and the builders would take care of it. The day passed quickly, and Anya and I were dating in the garden. Anton was rushing around, overseeing the construction, pushing and guiding his own workers. I forgot to mention that his business was in construction, so the work was boiling at a furious pace. The sun was warming like summer, so soon. Anya threw off her sweater, leaving her in a tight t-shirt. I couldn't concentrate on digging the beds. I stared at the hourglass of her figure, and the light muscles gently shimmering under her silky skin. I realized she was silky when I casually touched her hands. As lunchtime approached, we went to wash our hands and faces. Anya asked, "How did you manage to get dirty in the ground?" At the end of the water procedures, I threw a towel around her neck, pulled her towards me, and gently kissed her. Anya at first lashed out, then relaxed, closed her eyes, and tentatively responded to the kiss. Experience, as they say, went nowhere. Once upon a time, all the girls in the neighborhood were falling for me. Realizing that there would be little resistance, I began to fumble with my hands. Anya whispered, "Not there," to avoid more problems. She decided to stay home, fearing her feverish state. The work wasn't going well without her. I dug languidly into the ground, remembering the elastic body. By the end of the month, the outhouse was finished. The whole family decided to celebrate the event. Anya cooked some food, and I took some real moonshine from a neighbor. The drink went down a treat, so just after half an hour, we were in a very good mood. Exhausted by the working day, Anton barely finished the meat and went to bed. Anya and I went out on the porch. The warm air gently wrapped around our bodies, causing a vague longing. Nearby, the flowers smelled awe-inspiring, and the moon gently squinted over all this splendor. Anya turned to me, and moonbeams played on her face, turning her into a mysterious princess. The light danced on her lips and lingered on her eyelashes. Something came over me at that moment. I walked up to her, pressed against her body, and our lips clung together. Anya initially lashed out but then relaxed, closed her eyes, and tentatively responded to the kiss. Experience, as they say, went nowhere. I spent another night there, and in the morning, I woke up feeling guilty and confused. It was as if a fog had lifted, and reality hit me hard. I quickly dressed, feeling like a fool, and left without saying goodbye. I knew that what had happened was a mistake, a moment of weakness. I couldn't betray my son like that, no matter how strong the attraction was. I had to do the right thing and put an end to this before it could cause irreparable damage to our family. The guilt weighed heavily on my shoulders as I drove back home. I knew I had to confront Anton and explain what had happened. It wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary to preserve the bonds of our family. I arrived home and waited anxiously for Anton to return. When he finally did, I sat him down and poured out my heart, confessing everything. It was a difficult conversation, filled with pain and disappointment. Anton was hurt, but he appreciated my honesty. We both agreed that what had happened was a mistake, and we couldn't let it destroy our family. We made a pact to put it behind us and move forward. It was a long and challenging journey, but we managed to rebuild our relationship and strengthen our bond. Today, our family is closer than ever. We've learned from our mistakes and have become more open and understanding with each other. The Dacha project brought us together and taught us the importance of forgiveness and second chances. Life is full of ups and downs, but it is how we handle them that truly defines us. We must cherish our loved ones and work hard to maintain the bonds that hold us together. And above all, we must always strive to do the right thing, even in the face of temptation. Thank you for listening to the story to the end. If you liked it, please support us with a like, subscribe to our channel, and write in the comments what you think about the story.